Thank you for this opportunity to briefly introduce you to multilingualism at Stellenbosch University, specifically within the student community space.
Stellenbosch University is a multilingual university. But what do we mean by that? Essentially, we mean that we as Stellenbosch University respect the languages and the language varieties used by students and staff. We also acknowledge the different ways in which people like to use language, as well as the fact that the levels at which we speak different languages differ. We understand that language plays a very complex role in our society, and we need to take language into account if we want to construct knowledge in a way that is effective. We often see language as a problem, but it's an amazing resource if we have the right approach. Stellenbosch University has chosen to commit as an institution to Afrikaans, English and isiXhosa. These are the languages of the Western Cape. They are regional official languages. We are aware that the student body is far more diverse than that, and that we have students from all over the country, Africa and the rest of the world. We celebrate those languages and language identities too. As an institution, we however focus on Afrikaans, English and isiXhosa, and we try to accommodate others as far as possible, including South African Sign Language. Afrikaans and English are the primary languages of learning and teaching. isiXhosa may also be used in learning and teaching where there's capacity and lecturers find it appropriate to use and where there's a pedagogical need. We are committed to develop isiXhosa as an academic language as well as to maintain Afrikaans as a language of learning, teaching, assessment and research. We are also one of the few South African universities who aim to develop and promote South African Sign Language. This is all part of a national mandate to adopt at least one African language, where we focus on our resources on that language, while at the same time maintaining what we've already developed. This is an important way for us to bring the Constitution to life. By respecting languages at a tertiary level, we are raising their status. Why did we choose multilingualism as a vehicle? Well, we found, and research has also shown, that embracing multilingualism is a way to create an inclusive environment to make people feel welcome and like they belong. It's also a very important way in which to foster a sense of empathy and connection when you have conversations with people from a different background. Often, that creates a way for people to find each other, particularly if we're dealing with students who come from diverse backgrounds. And so we want to harness that opportunity. What's also really important then is to keep these languages alive by using them in different spaces such as university and also in everyday life, whether it's academic, social or institutional. Then we also recognize that as a university we have a responsibility to the community to promote languages that are used in the community and to acknowledge the value of multilingualism. We know research has shown us that multilingualism has many academic, cognitive and social benefits. People who speak or understand various languages are able to integrate better into teams. They're able to get on better in the workplace, or they're able to tap into other knowledge sources that are not necessarily only the official and traditional ones.
Now, what do we mean by multilingualism? At Stellenbosch University, we make a distinction between the following types of multilingualism. We have individual multilingualism, we have institutional multilingualism, and we have a multilingual mindset. Individual multilingualism refers to your linguistic repertoire. That is, the languages you speak. If you want to increase your individual multilingualism, you need to learn more languages. The fact that you don't speak all the languages you know equally well doesn't matter. They all count. Each and every one of those languages introduces you to a slightly different way of being. It adds more texture to your life, and it helps you to connect with more people. Institutional multilingualism refers to the policies of an organization where speakers of different languages coexist in a space. It includes having a language policy like us, and how that language policy is executed. Here, representation is not just about being seen, but also about seeing yourself in a space. A multilingual mindset. This is the most important one, and this is the foundation of our approach to multilingualism. Individual multilingualism may depend on aptitude and effort. If you're good at learning languages, it helps. For institutional multilingualism, you need resources. That is, you need money or people and to develop policies. But for a multilingual mindset, all you need is a willingness. And that is the willingness to align yourself with the idea that multilingualism is important and beneficial for promoting inclusivity and diversity, and intentionally creating spaces for individual and institutional multilingualism. It's about meeting others halfway. With a multilingual mindset, we are not ignoring individual and institutional multilingualism. This is still something we must aim to improve within ourselves and our institution. It is a multilingual mindset, however, that allows us to actually pursue those kinds of multilingualism. At Stellenbosch University, we don't want anyone to leave any part of their identity at the door. We don't want people to, for example, bring a sterilized, perfect English version of themselves into the space. We want a Stellenbosch University where people can live out every single part of themselves, including every single language they speak. With our multilingual mindset, we're also not trying to protect or promote languages only in books or on paper. Of course, terminology development is important, and that is part of what we do. But at the heart of it, what we're trying to do is to bring people together. Now, what does the language policy actually say about how we should use language within our spaces? The faculties all have their own language implementation plans that apply to the use of language in teaching, learning, and assessment. And you can find out more about that on the faculty's website or by speaking to staff within those faculties. For student communities, this is how the language policy guides us. It says, in student communities, language is used in a way that ensures that, where reasonably practicable, everybody is included and able to participate. This guidance is purposefully broad so that each student community can tailor their approach to language according to the residents' or PSO members' needs. The crux of this guideline can be summarized in these 2 points. First, you cannot tell someone not to speak a certain language. That is, you cannot use words like, you may not speak X or do not speak Y. You could ask that a language that everyone understands be used as well to facilitate communication, but you cannot exclude a language from a space. Second, hearing a language you don't understand does not automatically mean you are being excluded on purpose. This is something we navigate with our house values. For many, coming to university might be the first time you are stepping into a space with so many different languages and cultures around you. This could be a much more diverse space than you were used to at high school. For you to embrace the diversity, you might have to have difficult conversations or feel a little bit uncomfortable, but the process is worthwhile. We've mentioned before that we approach language through the lens of our house values. And for that, student leaders set up a manifesto for multilingualism for the residences and PSOs. This manifesto for multilingualism is based on the house values. First, we think about our house values and how we live them out. And then we see how we can connect that to language. Here we have an example of a manifesto for multilingualism based on the value compassion. It reads, we commit to use language in a way that is compassionate. When entering a new space, we choose to see you and where you come from, and recognize all your strengths and weaknesses aside from what language you speak. We will view language with an open mind and acknowledge its ability to other and understand how it affects those around us. Here is another example of a manifesto for multilingualism created by student leaders. This manifesto is based on the value altruism. We live out this value, altruism, by proactively engaging in acts that serve others, focusing on communal growth over individual gain. When it comes to language, our altruistic principles guide us. We commit to using language as a bridge rather than a barrier, recognizing that multilingualism is not just a skill, but a commitment to understanding others on their own terms. This means that we make an active effort to learn, appreciate, and use multiple languages in both academic and social settings. By doing so, we aim to create an atmosphere where every voice is heard and valued, fulfilling our altruistic commitment to serve and uplift the entire community.
By means of our values and our manifestos, we try to navigate the multilingual space. We're aiming to foster a culture of conversation, to be able to also have difficult conversations when it's necessary and to find a satisfactory solution without unproductive conflict. But sometimes things don't always go that way, and one does need to know what the formal process is to resolve conflict about language. So, in the student community space, if you haven't been able to resolve the issue with the party involved, then this is how you can submit a complaint. The first step would be to lodge a complaint with your house committee and residents or residence head. If that doesn't bring satisfaction, your next step would be to lodge a complaint with the director of the Centre for Student Life and Learning or the senior director of Student Affairs. If you don't feel that you've resolved the issue still, then the final step would be to lodge a complaint about the issue with the Ombud. Our Ombud is an independent party. They are approachable and unbiased and truly committed to having the conversations needed to find a solution that makes everyone feel heard. Whether it's in the student community or in academic sphere, students are not left on their own when it comes to language. Stellenbosch University provides language support to our students by means of the SU Language Centre. You can see the various language support services offered by the Language Centre on this slide, from interpreting to writing consultations. You can also visit the Language Centre website at languagecentre.sun.ac.za for more information. Let's reimagine how language can bring us together.